to have this wisdom. You want to be superior. You want to be better. But the truth of the matter is that's not what we were created for. We were not created to be better than God. It's not possible, right? And yet somehow that still motivates us today. We still try to be better than God. We still try to take... He created us to be enough. He created us to work with each other. He created us to support one another and to support the world that we live in. And He, most importantly, created us to glorify Him. And so when we try to go out and we try to do these things that don't glorify Him, that don't support Him, that don't support one another, we're not getting anything out of it. All we're getting is more pain, more suffering. We're getting drawn farther away from God, and we're not fulfilling the purpose that God has set for us. So the best way to avoid feeling that pain and that shame and that suffering is to continue in the purpose that God has set for us. All right? To glorify Him in everything that we do. When we commit an action, when we commit to an action, we have to ask ourselves, is this glorifying God? And if the answer is yes, then we go with it. If it doesn't, then we don't do that. Does it glorify God? Do we support each other with that? Is what you're saying respectful, or is it honoring, or is it encouraging to the people that you're around or to the people that it will affect? Or is it simply there to lift you up and to bring others down? Okay, because if that's the case, then you don't want that, because that doesn't fulfill your purpose. If it doesn't glorify God, if it doesn't encourage each other, and if it doesn't fulfill the purpose that God has set for you, don't do it. Not only because it's wrong, but because it will actually be toxic to your life. That is the eventual downfall. There are consequences for those actions. Because what Adam and Eve went through was not just they committed sin and then God was like, well, now I got to rework the whole earth thing to make that painful for you guys. That wasn't His intention. No, He told them originally, don't do this thing, because if you do this thing, there are consequences. And that's just the way that it is. And so when they did commit those actions, God's like, now I have to tell you how it is. I have to tell you that there are consequences for that. And these are those consequences. When you sin, when you continue to turn away from God, there are inevitable consequences for those things. And you don't want to go through those things. Those are painful things. And there's a reason that God tries to get us to avoid those things, because He knows how the world works. And He said, don't do it because you're not going to like it. Don't do it because it's not going to give you what you need. No matter how much you think you want those things, you don't really want them. What you want is God. What you need is God. And what you need is to live out the purpose and glorify Him in everything that you do. All right? That is what is in the law of creation right there. Okay, that shows us who we are. Even the downfall of man shows us a little bit of the law of who we are supposed to be. The purpose that we were meant to fulfill. And also what happens when we don't. Okay? Anybody have any questions? Thoughts? I know Michaela looks like she's got some gears turning over there. All right. Before we go, Chris, can you pray for us?
Dear God, let us get back to the room safely. For the late, the opportunity to get privileged to you, to chance to direct Lord, for our friends and everything you provide. Amen.